Welcome to the Dirt Life Show, presented by All right, who's ready for the Dirt Life Show?
Woo! Episode 13 of the Dirt Life Show. It's Veterans Day, and I'm wearing my Warfighter Made shirt for Robert and all the guys over there. We really appreciate all of the servicemen of the country, man. They give us the opportunity to live in this beautiful country of ours, and it makes a big difference, right? And we have Jimmy, Jess, Tatum, and Brian in the studio tonight. We have another little guest in the studio, but she's just a social media girl tonight, huh, Jimmy? So, yeah, we're going to have a good time tonight. It's all about the kids. And speaking of kids, I wanted to thank your son, Devin, for helping us out since it's Veterans Day. He's obviously not retired yet, but he's still helping out in the Marines. And he's a pretty badass dude, man.
I also would like to thank him. He's an amazing kid.
Yeah.
Where he's come and what he's doing is for our country, and is just his attitude, his demeanor, and he's a great kid.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree 100%. You know any veterans, Jimmy?
I have a couple buddies, yeah. Scott, my ex-partner, he's a veteran. His nephew's a veteran, yeah. I called all them today, told them thanks for their service.
Awesome. Yeah, that's good. So you have some uncles or anybody that's a veteran?
I don't believe her. Oh, really? Oh, okay. Well, then, yeah, Uncle Vernon, I guess.
Yeah, there you go. And obviously your brother's a veteran, Tatum. We just talked about him. That's
Yeah.
pretty cool, huh? Or a serviceman. Well, thank you guys, everybody, for tuning in. As always, we really, really appreciate you guys tuning in. You guys are the ones that make this show possible. You guys are the ones that get us all of our views and just make it so that we can have such a good time talking to you guys. And we have everybody coming down from Phoenix and from Tucson today, and it just makes it so much better when you guys share it and we can grow and just talk about all this fun stuff. Like, we're going to have an awesome shop talk tonight about obviously the kids, how they get into racing and things like that. And we couldn't do it without our sponsors either. We got some great sponsors on board. We have Fuel Wheels. We have Shock Therapy. Rigid Industries. And we also have, Zollinger Racing Products and Solderweld. All of them are great companies, and we want to thank them for being part of our small little program, small little growing program. How about that? We do have to have our glass half full sometimes, right? One of the things that we wanted to talk about tonight was how kids get into racing. I know a lot of our viewers, are weekend warriors and things like that. They love riding side by sides. They like going out in dirt bikes and quads and just enjoying their dirt life. But some of them, like I even received a few messages this past week, wondering how to get their kids either into racing or get them focused a little bit more on something. Like I know a lot of children these days are, I don't want to say less focused, but they tend to just pick 20 different things to do instead of one. And if you're a racer or a child racer, you really have to focus a lot of your energy on that one thing. I know a lot of parents go out and, let the kids pick. Do you want soccer? Do you want baseball? Do you want to be a racer? And usually it ends up being, after a certain duration of time, a question of which one are you going to pick, because we can't do all of this stuff. And so that's going to be one of the topics that I think we'll have a good time talking about tonight. We're going to talk about some social media stuff tonight, how social media affects children and how it affects even us as adults, and how it's used in racing to make your programs better. And I think it's got a really, really big influence on the things that are happening these days. We talked a little bit about this before the show while we were eating tacos. And how social media affects certain things, how society gives participation medals for certain, extracurricular activities, we'll call them, for children. And racing isn't really like that. So I'd like to get your guys' opinion on those types of things. So I think it'll be pretty cool to have good in-depth conversations about it, and not only because it's just related to the kids, but because I genuinely want to understand it myself, because I feel like a lot of times social media changes so fast that I don't even understand it, and I work on it a lot. So it'll be really cool to get a perspective from you guys and see what kind of stuff we have to talk about with that stuff. So again, thank you guys very much. I really appreciate everybody. If you can share this show on your social media platforms, it'd be awesome. That way we can grow the show. You can always connect with us via messages, via comments. You can connect with us on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. Everything is at The Dirt Life Show. And, yeah, feel free to talk to us anytime. Let us know what you guys think we're doing good, what we're doing bad, and just help us grow the show. It'll be really awesome. We miss our buddy Cody. He was at the Dunes this weekend, and, yeah, he just had a great time. I saw some pictures of, like, all the I don't even know what they call it. They call it the flagpole, but they had what was it?
I believe they're at the swing set when the veterans flew over.
Yeah, and they had that guy parachuting in and stuff. Did you guys see that?
Super neat.
Yeah, it was pretty crazy, and to see that, I thought it was pretty cool. So it makes a good difference to be able to see that stuff and to be able to see how many people show up to those types of events. You know, like it's just everybody's out at the dunes having fun, right? But then they have this, you know, guy that's parachuting in. Like, where does all this come from? What plane did he jump out of? Like, where did he plan all this stuff? Was he out at the dunes riding with everybody? Like, when he landed, who took him back? Like, all these fun things that you think, like, it's just a huge production. And it was awesome to see that video of him doing that because it just goes to show how much everybody loves this country.
Yeah, that and the effort. I mean, look at all the people out there with their raised balloons carrying a 10-foot by 20-foot flag.
Yeah, exactly.
And they fill that sucker full of helium to get it up there. Is pretty neat to see.
It was really neat to see. So, sorry we had a little bit of a camera malfunction. These dang GoPros don't work very well, so we put it on one of the other cameras. You guys won't be able to see me too much, but you'll be able to hear my voice talking. So we don't have any guests that we're going to be calling tonight because everybody's here. This is pretty awesome. This is the first time for me, so I'm pretty pumped. Well, why don't we just go around the room? We'll pretend like we're in school, and everybody introduce themselves.
I'm Jessie Owens. I'm 14 years old, and I drive a Junior 2 kart and a Razor 570 in the Lucas Oil Off-Road Series.
You forgot one thing. You're fast.
Well, then there's that, yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, Jessie does a great job. She's not only a great driver, but she's great off the track, too. She learned a lot from her dad.
Yes.
She's a very, very good, genuine person. She helps out all of her friends. She has a good time at the track. She's a good, humble person. And I think, Jimmy?
Yeah, my name's Jimmy Owens. I own Extreme Machine Fabrication, and we produce a lot of the youth program cars and coach and help and try to get everybody going in the right direction.
Right on. Yeah, and you do a fantastic job helping the kids, too. You've built so many cars for kids. And not only that, but you had a lot of help with other people's vehicles, too. I know Mia Chapman. You help her in the Production 1000 class. You helped Brian with his beginning efforts in racing his own car. And you're just one of the same guys. You lead by example for your children, and you go out and you help anybody that needs help at the races.
Yeah, I love the sport. It's awesome.
Yeah.
I come from circle track stuff, but the off-road thing's pretty cool. It's such a vast range of people.
Yeah.
Short course to desert. Like we have a big 6100 truck we run for a customer. It's just neat, all different people.
Oh, wow, 6100 truck, too, huh? That's pretty cool. How do those stock motors compare to the big unlimited motors?
Power-wise, it's not there, but the cost-wise, it's awesome.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, that's an expensive sport. It is, but the motor run all year. That's the cool part.
That is really cool, actually.
And they just opened them up. The 6200s, they allowed for a little bit more travel. Yeah.
Exactly. So bigger tires.
Yep.
But it's a spec class. Nothing's cheap in that area, but it's still way cheaper than a trophy truck.
Can you put your mic a little bit closer to your mouth, Jimmy? I still can't hear you. Let me see your headphones real quick. While I check out your headphones, let's introduce Brian and Tatum.
Hi, my name's Tatum.
Talk louder, bud.
Hi, I'm Tatum. I race a Razor 170 RZR for Lucas Oil. I'm normally around the house just working around. Normally my car is apart, getting worked on, so I have to help put it back together. But it's
So you
not.
do a lot of work on it, huh?
Yes, I do. And I just had to clean up like all around the house. I've been cleaning.
Dad makes you clean, huh? Well, and Brian, you've already been on the show once before, but for those of the people of our audience that don't know who you are, you're a Lucas off-road racer yourself, and you've actually been in a trophy truck as well.
Yeah, I raced desert for Best in Desert 5 years or 4 years, something like that. I got Tatum into racing short course. My wife was all about it because she could keep her eyes in contact on us the whole time, and she was like, "You need to go do this." So I went from desert to short course, and had a little accident at the beginning of the year where I have to do a good rebuild, but gave me time to focus on Tatum, and it's paying off. Like, it really takes R&D to get these cars dialed in.
I agree 100%. The cool part about it is that I know that you wanted to race a lot, but you switched your focus. Like, it wasn't like you were missing out. It was like you were doing kind of the same things that you would to excel your program, but you shifted it to your son.
Yeah, and, I miss it. I truly, when I see my class get out there, I miss it. But what I don't miss is the focus and the attention, and like when he does good, it's way better than if I ever did good, right?
Yeah.
Like, I feel so
proud dad moment.
So proud. Yeah, when he does, like, he lays a 36-second lap down, I'm like, yes.
Yeah, exactly.
So happy.
It makes a big difference too. Like, when those types of events happen, like I remember too, because you've allowed me to be part of the program as well. Yeah. So it's pretty cool to feel those same feelings, not just on your own. And Jimmy's been feeling them forever because he's been helping all the kids. But for us, it's like a new thing, you know what I mean? Like, for me, it was like, oh, I have to spot now? Like, I don't know how to do it. And I went up there and I was like, shoot, man, this is way more difficult than what I actually thought it was. You know, like, you have to pay attention to other drivers. You have to pay attention to your driver. You have to be able to focus, tell them what lines to pick. And it ends up being pretty cool in the end, especially to see the reward when the driver does good.
It was really neat. Glenn Helen, I got to actually listen in on Jimmy's spotting for Ethan Ebert in a mod car, and it is intense split decisions. Like, it is cool.
Yeah, exactly. It seems like we're having a little bit of trouble with your microphone still, Jimmy. We'll work on it here in just a second. For now, let's go to the break. We'll do Tatum's talk to Tatum and Jess for a little bit, and then after the break, we'll check out your microphone. Actually, what does this do? I don't know if this does anything. So one of the things that I wanted to talk about was how social media impacts the things that we do and how it affects not just the well-being, but the tone of how a person races, the mindset of how somebody deals with racing and how they deal with promoting themselves. And, nowadays there's so much focus on being popular on social media or having good marketing. And we talked about this a little bit before, Jimmy, that before the show, and you had said, it doesn't really matter what you do on the racetrack anymore. Your results are a lot less important than they used to be. And that's unfortunate because I had actually said this a few years ago as well. I said the exact same thing, and it's sucky to have that basic mentality when you're racing. It doesn't matter what I do on the weekend. It only matters how much I promote on social media during the week. But there again, there's an adverse way to look at it with, things like the hot topic these days in the news has been kids getting participation medals and not having to worry about, doing well or winning or whatever the subject is. And they also, Instagram said that they were also going to get rid of the like button or the like functionality on their social media. I don't know if that's a true statement, but it's been a topic of conversation in society. And it really brings up a really good talking point, because when you think about it, the first thing that you think about is kids and social media. Whether you race or not, you think, if the kid goes to school and he's only got 3 likes and the other popular kids get 10 likes or 20 likes on their photo and they get shunned, that's really detrimental to a kid's mental well-being in general, no matter what they are, whether they're a racer or just a normal kid. And the fact is it shouldn't be like that. You shouldn't, in my opinion. I appreciate that they're giving participation medals out because they want the kids to feel, welcome, and they want them to do these things. But in my opinion, there should be some level of gratitude. There should be some level of work ethic, and there should be some level of, win or top dogs kind of status. Everything in the world is like that. So if you are brought up without that sense or mentality, you're going to be left behind. So it's difficult, and, Brian, you mentioned it too, like, you want them to go out there and do good. You want them to be the best person they can be, right? So, well, give us a couple examples of what we were talking about, like the things that we were mentioning before the show.
Just the fact that, like the kids are going out and they're getting a sponsorship, they participated in this, and they're getting a trophy for it, where, Tatum's working for it. He hasn't gotten it yet, and he's working for it. And just, even if he doesn't get a trophy, the excitement that he brings back to me after he goes out there, he's like, I passed that person, and I passed that. There's going to be a time where he's going to get that trophy. And when he does, he's going to feel what it was like to work for it. It wasn't just, hey, you played baseball and here's your end of the year trophy. He didn't get a trophy this year. He didn't get a trophy last year.
Yeah.
It's like something he's going to work for. And then once he gets it, he'll feel a self, accomplishment. Like, I really worked for this.
Yeah,
like,
it makes it more gratifying, right? Yeah. And, well, I guess like Ricky Bobby's a good movie. If you're not first, you're last kind of thing. So like that mentality, it actually goes a long way as far as what you're working towards. I know when I grew up racing dirt bikes, we clearly didn't get a participation trophy, but that's kind of besides the point. I made sure that no matter what happened, if I was going out on the track, that my dad taught me everything I could, to be able to maintain the motorcycle and to be able to do my best while I was out there on the track. And like we spoke about again before the show, it really does create a sense of value when you can show the children how to be better beforehand and prepare for not just getting the participation trophy, but getting the gold medal, getting the silver medal. Value for working your butt off instead of value for just being there.
Brian said he's excited when he comes in. He passed that. Like Brian said, he was excited when he passed that one car and he passed the next car. But that's how you get there. Yeah. It's achievements, right? It's not like, well, I showed up today, I got one anyway. Well, he showed up today and he passed 2 more cars. That's 2 more positions. He's closer to that trophy that he wants to get. So he's building his self-esteem, right? He's building his knowledge of racing and all that to go with it.
Yeah, exactly. Do you mind if we share? Share. So, one of the things that I think is really great about that is it kind of like instills value in the child's mind, not to just have to be the best, but to be the best that you can be, even if you get 10th. You're still understanding the value of working your butt off until you get to the point where you win. Maybe it's not going to happen. Maybe it's 5 years down the road. Maybe it's a year down the road. Maybe you win the first race. But all the way up to that, you had to work your butt off to be able to get to the races. Tatum has to do chores. Tatum has to do well in school. Jess has to do well in school. So, well, give me some examples, because you guys are living this every day.
Yeah, I mean, my kids have to do their own chores. They have to help with the race cars and all that stuff, right? That's just part of it. We try to do most of our own social media. The girls do. But that's just it. It's a lot of work, right? It's not just given to you every day. And just because we go race on Sunday and you win on Sunday doesn't mean your job's over. You still got to do your social media, still got to do your chores, got to get ready for next race. You got to clean up from last race mess. That's just, it's a lot of time spent to do this.
And what do you guys do to make it so that Jess does the same thing next weekend?
We have lists, right?
Yeah.
Actually, Jessie made lists. She's good at that. We type out lists. We have one in the trailer. We have one in the house. And we have checklists for the race cars. So whether she's working with the cars, I am, or the guys at the shop are, there's a list for everything to get done for less. I mean, down to loading the refrigerator.
Yeah,
make sure there's
literally,
ketchup
it's
and
a
mustard
list,
in there.
Yeah,
you know?
of everything that has to be loaded.
Well, tell your dad how that affects. What does it do for you?
The lists make it easier because, like, when you're loading stuff up, you don't forget anything because you just look at the list, you cross it off. Yeah, that's in there, that's in there. And when you show up to the track later in the day, you know everything's in there because it was crossed off the list. Or if it's not crossed off the list because you don't got it, okay, I got to go get it. It makes life way easier because before we had the list, it was like we show up to a week and we're like, well, we don't have ketchup. We forgot the ketchup. It's a little thing, but it's still something that you have to.
So what I'm gathering from this is it's instilling organization
Yeah, and discipline.
and discipline.
Yeah,
That's what
100%.
it's doing.
Yeah, exactly. And that's kind of the point that I was trying to make is that whether, Jess and Tatum understand this right now, those little things make a big difference even when you go to your first job interview at 18 or 19 years old or 16, whenever the kids get the jobs nowadays. It makes a huge difference because you're prepared when you go to that interview. You're not just walking in with your shorts on. You know what I mean? Like, you understand what the next step is going to be. You're understanding that, well, I made a list when I was a kid. We didn't forget the ketchup. What am I going to forget when I go into this job interview? How can I know what I need to do at this job interview? Do I research the company? Do I know more about the person that I'm interviewing with? Do I try to find them on social media and get a little bit of background? And they're going to learn these same exact things when they try to get sponsors. You're not going to give them all the money. You're going to make them work for it.
Yeah.
And Brian, you're going to do the same thing. You have to do it in your program. Why not do it for Tatum's program,
Exactly.
And most of that as the kids get older, when they're little at this age, like where my youngest one is, Jennifer is, and Tatum is, you have to teach them all that stuff.
Right.
Because sponsorship's hard at that age because they're so young, right? But then as they start getting older, like Jessie's just starting to break that threshold. Then you got to be more disciplined. They got to chase their sponsors. They got to do their due diligence, right? Do all their social media, do all their handshakes, kissing babies, whatever they got to do.
How do you deal with your social media?
About 3 times, 4 times a week, you have to post something. You have to keep stories up, race reports after each race, and then when it comes to sponsors, we'll get decks made and stuff, and you have to send decks out at the end of the season to get sponsors for next year. It's a lot of work, but it all pays off in the long run because sponsors are a huge help with everything.
And this is her first year. She's going to take over. Next season, she's going to run most of her own program.
Yeah.
I'm going to help as much, on the backside. But she's responsible right now. Like, she sends her own letters out. She gets her decks ready. We trying to teach her that next step because that's the next step in racing, right? And then from that next step is, well, what do you want to do for a career? Once, she's going into high school next year. We're going to homeschool. So she'll have a little more free time to work around the shop and do stuff. But she wants to do a racing program, so it's like you got to run it like a business now. So let's start learning how to do that.
It definitely makes a lot of sense, and the great thing about that is like, as much as sponsors are obviously important in racing, even if you didn't get any sponsors, even if you got a no answer from every single person, it gives her the ability to understand how to communicate.
Yeah, it's the contacts, right?
Yeah.
It's the interaction with the people.
Yeah, and the contacts and the context too.
Right.
Like whatever you're doing to communicate with those people, you want something from them. And unfortunately, that's the way society works. It's a want and a give, right? So you go in, and Casey Peck has been a good help in the studio here and co-hosting with me, and he said that the way that they deal with a lot of stuff, he's in the electric union, and the way that they deal with a lot of stuff is there's win-wins, win-lose, and lose-lose. And they always want to get a win-lose or a win-win because a win-lose is not even a lose. And every time I think about sponsorship, I never, ever think of it as a lose-lose, ever. Because no matter what happens, you still talk to somebody.
Well, yeah, and just because you approach a sponsor this year, maybe the budget was already preset.
Right.
You know what I mean? Maybe this was 2 years ago. They already had their plan figured out. But you've introduced yourself, and maybe next year you're in, or the year after that you're in.
Yep.
But You have to open the door at some point. Just because they say no now doesn't mean it's no next year or next week.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? You still have to try.
And as adults, we understand that, but as the children are learning this stuff, that gives them the exact same mentality as what you're talking about. It says, maybe I didn't get that first job. Maybe it was a win-lose. But the next one is a win-win, and it's a job that they liked better because it was just meant to happen, or they put more effort into the second one because they didn't get the first one, or whatever it is.
Timing was right. You know what I mean? Like,
exactly.
Yeah.
And that's those little things, if you're starting them at a young age trying to do marketing and social media and stuff, only some of it's valuable. But those core, disciplines or core traits that you learn are huge for the rest of your life.
Well, in racing too, it's not always win-win, right? There's a lot of lose-loses.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Like,
you broke down, you flipped, you whatever, yeah.
Yeah, whatever. Like, I mean, it's heartbreaking some days, right?
Yep.
I mean, you go in the trailer and you sit down and cry, huh?
Yeah. Have you had some of those heartbreaking days, Jess?
I mean, sadly, yes, we have, but you just kind of have to get over it and try and move on from it because there's better days that are better. So you just kind of move on and pick the positive out of the negative. And I mean, if the car breaks or something, you fix it for the next day. As long as you're okay is the main thing.
Makes you stronger.
Yeah, it does.
Definitely. Oh yeah.
Like this year, we bought a J2 to try. One, because Lucas put the 170s in, she had nothing to drive. She wasn't old enough to go to a production 1000, so we did a J2 program. First 2 races, out of the car, in the trailer, helmet on, crying.
It was
like, she was so frustrated. She's like, Dad, I don't like this thing. I'm like, you got to figure it out, But she got
it out pretty
About third
quick.
race in, we were good.
She did good.
Yeah. And then I took her from, she runs a J2 and then jumps into her 570, which is 4-wheel drive. Totally different cars, right? But like I said, the first couple rounds, we were a lot of tears for a little while.
You guys well, you've dealt with that, Brian. I mean, like your car toast one time.
Yeah.
So that was a little bit difficult. And it's like gut wrenching. It's like gut wrenching at the same time, right?
Yeah.
Like that one time at Glen Helen, and when your car broke, it was pretty difficult. Like, first you want to see if you're okay, right? But you already knew you were kind of like not okay, but you didn't realize it. You still wanted to go out there. You're like, oh, can we fix it? Can we do this? Can we do that? And like, it really is a lose-lose. Like, no matter how you look at it, but you don't want it to be like that.
Yeah, you don't want.
You want it to be a win-lose. You want it to be a win-win. You really want to figure out how you can make it not a lose-lose. And that's the thing that I'm talking about, and we're talking about now, is you're teaching everybody to act like that and to be like that. When you leave the job interview, if it was a win-lose or a lose-lose, you still want it to be a win at some point.
Right.
So it makes a big difference. You came off the track, you showed the kids that you were strong, you showed the kids that you were vulnerable, you showed the kids that you needed to take a break, you showed the kids that we still had to do all of the things that loading up, packing everything up, making sure Dad's okay. Everything still had to be taken care of to be able to move on and go forward. And that's a huge, huge thing to be able to understand in life in general.
Well, yeah, and in racing too. I mean, I try to teach most of the kids as they get older. So you have a bad race day, right? Like, you didn't win, car breaks, whatever it is. You're upset. But you got to remember, that's only 10 minutes out of your day.
Yeah.
10 minutes. Like, don't let it ruin all 24.
That's a really good point.
I mean, that's
Very
a long,
valid point.
especially in the social media side. Like, we try to push that with those, like Jessie and Mia Chapman and all that. Kids come in, they're upset, they're up, like, hey, go take 5 minutes, get this off, but you got to get back out here and still shake hands, kiss babies. Like, this is your job, right? This is the way it works. That race is only 10 minutes. It ain't your life. 24 hours in a day. Let's don't ruin the whole day because of that.
Yeah, exactly. Tatum, you want to come over here and share the microphone with me? Come sit right here, bud. Cool, thanks. So you're absolutely right, though. Like, that, it makes a huge difference in the mindset of how somebody can get over those lose-lose or those lose-wins, because maybe it was only a 5-minute interview.
Right.
What am I going to do for the rest of the day? I'm going to figure out how to win-win.
Right.
And those types of things are exactly what people think about when they leave the races or when they crash a car. And
Well, there's an emotional side that people don't see.
Yeah. I
I
mean,
mean, there's days you want to cheer, and there's days you want to cry.
God.
I mean, even as an adult, it's like, man, I can't believe that happened.
Yeah, exactly. But the cool part about it is that no matter what happens, you're understanding those things. Like, I guarantee you, when he crashed and we were all sitting there, we were trying to fix the car, we were trying to make it okay. He wanted to probably scream at the top of his lungs, "What the f? Like, what's going? Like, nothing that we could say or do is ever going to calm him down, because until he calms down by himself,
Correct.
it's not going to happen."
That was a big crash, though.
Yeah.
But still, the value in the way that he handled it, the strongness that he showed, being humble, understanding how he treated everybody around him afterwards, the things that he did and the way that he conducted himself was fantastic for the kids.
Right.
Of course, his wife and myself and everybody's worried about him. We understand, but it's those values, the dirt life, that shows the kids all of these great things. And I think Jess is learning it. Tatum's learning it. Everybody around us that's at the races is learning it.
Right. And like you brought up baseball and soccer and all that stuff earlier, right? And those are neat. They're team sports, right? And you still win as a team and all that. But the difference in the racing program is you're a team, right? She's got crew guys. She's got a spotter. She's got all the – but in reality, when the green flag drops, you're it.
Yeah.
Like, we're all not in control. They're the only ones in control of that project at that moment. They are their own person. Now, we try to coach them on the radios and help as much as we can, but at that point, they are an individual on their own, making their own decisions,
What have you seen, like, with all the kids, and obviously Jess, but what have you seen with kids since they understand that? Do they get that the pressure's on kind of thing?
What's funny is a lot of kids do. Who doesn't understand is the parents a lot of times.
That's true, because they don't understand what the kids are dealing with.
We got to
I guess,
understand that. Like, take some of these kids. Like Tatum started really young. They started 5 or 6. They just learned how to tie their shoes. And you're asking them to drive a race car, listen to you on the radio, pay attention to 5 cars around them, and a flagman, right?
Well, what do you think about that, Tatum? Like, what were the things that you thought about when you first started?
I learned to tie my shoes at when I was younger. I was still in kindergarten.
What do you think about when you first got in the car?
When I first got in the car, it was the very first day I got it, and I was driving around my house, and I went to go grab a helmet though, and my dad said, "Oh, you don't need one." And then I'm driving around the house, and then I crashed and almost broke my chin and had to get stitches.
I do remember that day.
Yeah.
First day we got it.
Yep.
What did you think of that day?
Oh, Dad, what did I do? Stupid Dad. Like, he's comfortable. He can just go around, do a few circles. He was showing off for Grandma and meant to hit the brake and hit the gas and ran it right into some railroad ties for a planter that I have that's stacked like 4 feet tall, like full gas.
Do you remember that video that your dad had that shows you driving the little power wheels in the front driveway?
What Power Wheels?
Your white car at 1 year and 10 months old where you went right through the gate, never touched anything?
Yeah, I had really good focus with that because that was like my very first one of those. Like, after that I got like one of that was like a quad, and then I got like one that was my brother got one that was a big black truck and almost broke it his first day. Yeah. So I've had a lot of practice with those. So that's how I was able to go right through the gate. And then you're like, "Oh, Grandpa's not home," and then I'm like, "Oh." But yeah, it was nice that I could drive like that when I was so young.
Yeah.
When I saw that video, Tatum, I thought it was crazy. I was like, how the heck does a little kid do that so well? And your dad showed me. He was like, "That's my boy."
His depth perception and just he's got it. You either have it or don't. Like, I love both my boys the same, right? All 3 of them, actually. But, I mean, the difference between Tatum and Ryder are so different. Ryder, he's just full send, but he's going to hit everything on the way. He's a little bit more, timid, but he'll just go right through the cones. You set him up, Tatum will go right through them.
Yeah, demolition derby, he'll win.
Oh, yeah. That's what we need to do.
Yeah, but some days that might be to his advantage.
Yeah.
That's a good point, yeah. Especially depending on what job you're going for later on in life, not just racing. Like, maybe the demolition derby mentality is going to win, too.
Yeah.
Well, It's already, what time is it here? It looks like it's 7:30, so let's take a little break. We'll hear from our sponsors. We'll try to get some of these microphone issues fixed, and we're going to get in the nitty-gritty. We're going to figure out how old you guys are. I know you already said, but we're going to figure out how old you guys are. We're going to ask you guys some questions. You guys ready?
Yeah.
All right, let's talk to our sponsors, and we'll be right back.
For wheels and tires with the most style, function, and innovation, look no further than Fuel Off-Road. From stock to lifted, dually to trophy truck, and UTV applications, Fuel Off-Road offers the most complete lineup for your next adventure. Whether a weekend warrior or racer, you can't go wrong with Fuel's massive line of trail tough truck and UTV wheels and tires. Good looks, better prices, and the absolute best range of styles and applications. Find us at fueloffroad.com.
Introducing Rigid's new SRL Series light bar, featuring a sleek 20-inch curved housing, ultra-wide forward projecting beam pattern, and a unique halo backlight feature offered in 4 color options. The SRL Series light bar's new optic combination projects light over 70 degrees wide, with more than enough distance to safely drive in low visibility conditions, making it the perfect lighting solution for most applications. The Halo backlight feature is offered in red, white, blue, or amber, and is wired independently from the forward projecting light. Instantly transition from style to function with the flip of a switch, making it easier than ever to own the night.
Hello, I'm Justin, the founder of Shock Therapy. Shock Therapy has been around for 5 years, but we have personally been tuning suspension on off-road cars and race vehicles for over 25 years. We tune between 10 and 15 cars per day, every single day of the week. Our concentration is tuning shock systems and supplying components that improve the ride quality of your car in many ways. Not only do we work on the average UTV, but we also tune suspension for race teams and professional drivers. We currently tune for over 87 race teams in Best in Desert and Score. Our clients and race teams rely on our suspension components to allow them to win races and keep them safe. Suspension is a moving target, and we are always trying to hit that target with every customer that we work with. Each customer's needs can be different, and we tune our kits accordingly. Our research and development never stops. We improve our components every single day. As the industry evolves and improves, so do our parts and kits. As of right now, we have over 100 products for UTVs. So when you bring your car to us, you have the satisfaction of knowing that you have the most experience, the highest quality products, and the fact that your car is being tuned specifically to you.
Hey guys, George Hamill here to talk to you about one of our sponsors, Solder Weld. Who is Solder Weld, and what is their impact on the off-road community? Well, some of you may have seen Solder Weld's booths at the races, Lint 400, Vegas to Reno, Score and Snore events, and the UTV World Championship. You're seeing their stickers and sponsor wraps on more and more racers' vehicles every year. But who are they, and what do they have to offer us as off-road enthusiasts? Well, late last year, Solder Weld introduced their new off-road repair kit to the off-road industry and sold out their first week. The interest was overwhelming, as many off-roaders already knew of Solder Weld's aluminum radiator repair rods, and now they were included in a convenient carry kit in camo or black. If you're a racer of any type or off-road enthusiast like myself, you're going to want to take a close look at this product. Solder Weld has combined some of their most elite products into one small kit that fits perfectly under your seat or strapped into your roll cage and allows you to make some insane fixes anywhere you go. How many of us have been in a race or out on the trail and got a rock chip in a radiator or a brake line? We've literally seen a top-tier desert race truck at the 2019 Mint 400 taken out by a simple rock to the radiator. If they would have had an off-road repair kit on board, they could have been back up and running in just a minute. The kit includes everything you need to work on dirty aluminum, stainless steel, copper, and many other metals. Solder Weld's cutting-edge technology allows you to make these fixes with extremely low heat and incredible high tensile strength, leaving you with a lasting fix every time. Don't be that guy who broke down on the side of the trail. Get your off-road repair kit today. Your friends will thank you. All right, we are back. Everybody have a good little break. I know Tatum had to call his mom. She's probably going to call you back at some point, right? Well, now I would like, if it's okay with you guys, to get into a little bit of the nitty-gritty. I'd like to understand a little bit more about you, Jess, because I know that you're a good racer, but I'd like to know a few things. So for those of that didn't listen before, how old are you?
I'm 14 years old. I race a Junior 2 kart and a Razor 570 in the Lucas Oil Off-Road Series. I've been racing for about 4 years now, I think, and yeah.
Wow, that's a good amount of time.
Yeah,
you know, you probably started racing at the same time I did, because I think my career ended, we'll call it, 4.5 years. So that's pretty cool, man. So we started at the same time.
Yeah.
High five on that. Right on. Except for you're a little bit younger than me. I'm an old guy, so.
Yeah, a little bit.
So that's good though. Like, I think that's really cool. And over those 4 years, how have you liked it so far?
I love it. I mean, I do anything for it. It's hard to explain how much you love it, because you just like, after you do it for so long, it's just kind of like life almost. It just becomes part of your normal routine. Like, oh, race this weekend. Like, it's just part of your life. And
You mean that dirt life?
yeah, that dirt life. Yeah, for
Yeah,
sure.
sweet.
Yeah.
Thanks for the plug too. Appreciate that. But yeah, you're right though. I think it really does. Like, I didn't realize how much work it would take. I came from dirt bike racing, and dirt bike racing is pretty labor intensive, but it's not as labor and process as intense as a four-wheel vehicle, because you have to put in so much work. You see your dad building these cars, and I learned how to build the cars, and I learned how to maintain them and prep them and all that stuff. And you probably learned those same things over those 4 years too, right?
I mean, yeah, I learn what I can learn. I help when I can, and I do a lot more over summer when I'm not in school. But when school time come around, we're so busy with school, then with the races on the weekends, it's like I barely have time to.
Well, that's one of the questions that I had for you, is how do you manage all that stuff? So I know you're into volleyball, right?
Yeah, the season ended a couple weeks ago, but yeah.
But you have it during the race season, though.
It was during the race season. It was driving to volleyball games, practice every night. And then there were a couple games I had to miss because we had race weekends. It's a lot going on, and you have to time everything just right, or it's.
Is that where your checklists come in handy?
Yes, a checklist come in handy with that. Yes.
So you can manage all your time.
Yep.
Yeah, it's funny that you say that kind of stuff though too, because I feel like as much as we hate or love technology, I feel like my iPhone really runs my life. Like the guys know that too. I mean, they run their own businesses and stuff too. But those checklists are like. It's like, when does it end?
It doesn't. No, it doesn't.
Well, that's cool. Which one is your favorite to drive? Do you like the two-wheel drive, or do you like the kart, or the 170s? They're not, and the 570s. Well, the 570s four-wheel drive, right?
Yeah, correct.
Yeah. So which one do you like the best?
I like the four-wheel drive with the 570, but then I like the Junior 2 because it slides a lot more, so you kind of get to not mess around with it, but it's a different driving style.
Yeah.
I don't know if I could really choose one. I like both of them kind of the same. The competition's definitely different in both classes, so that can kind of play a role. But I have gotten used to the four-wheel drive now, and I do like the 570 because you can run different series with it. But I don't really think I could pick a favorite. I like both cars.
That's good.
It's kind of even.
Do you have goals in either of those cars? Like, a set goal. Like, let's just say in the 570 you want to race in the work series and you want to do obviously get wins and stuff like that, but you can't do it in Lucas, so you have to have separate goals in Lucas with junior kart.
Yeah, this year we ran Lucas with both cars, but you have to set your goals different for the classes because one class you're racing with different people, competition's different, car handles different. Sometimes you even run a different track. Like the Junior 2 kart was a smaller track, so you're learning 2 different tracks with 2 completely different cars. But yeah, you definitely have to set your goals different, especially if you want to run like desert stuff. Then you have to almost pace yourself. You can't just you can send it into stuff, but you almost gotta save your car more or less.
It's pretty impressive how much you know and how much knowledge you have.
I mean, after 4 years, you gain a lot of knowledge, yeah. And I'm
Yeah.
around him all the time, so I hear it like 24/7.
Oh, why doesn't Dad shut up? What the heck,
I
man?
know, it's
Can't we
like-
talk about volleyball at some point?
Well, we did that for a while. I was a
Yeah.
volleyball dad, hauling
Yeah.
5, 6 girls around
Yeah,
in the car.
he definitely was.
I can't picture you as a
Oh,
Oh,
yeah,
no, the
volleyball
car
dad,
full of
all in,
girls.
all in.
Were they all taller?
Every one of them, except for my own.
Yeah, I was always a back row player because I'm so short. I never really played
And she's almost as tall as me now, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Uh-oh. You're going to pass Dad up one of these days?
She's already almost
I
caught up
hope
with mom.
so. Yeah, I hope so. That's one of my goals. Yeah.
That's pretty awesome. Well,
Yeah, but you know what I tell everybody? They all make fun of me because I'm short, but I fit in every kid's race car in this place.
Yeah.
I drive everybody's race cars at the shop.
perfect one to
Nobody's
be building
laughing
kids'
anymore,
race cars.
right?
Yeah,
When you crawl in the mod cart and running around the backyard, that's not too bad. You can't do that.
that's a good call. That's a very good call.
We just had somebody chime in that says, Jimmy Owens, you should be very proud.
Yes, I am.
Yeah. He's a good dude, man.
Oh, actually, that's the 6100 truck that we
Yeah.
run with.
Oh, Dennis Jean. Yeah.
Yeah. Jesse rode with him last week.
Yeah.
Well,
Nice.
How was it?
It was stressful, but it was so much fun. Like I've rode in it before, but I've never been in it that long.
She had to read GPS
What was
system.
I had
Sport.
to read a GPS system too,
What race?
so
How was
Oh.
that?
Oh.
it
Nice.
was figuring out the GPS was very confusing because I've never looked at a GPS before. Like I've looked at it on the phone, but I've never physically looked at the fancy ones that go in the truck with all the buttons, and it's so much to take in. But once you get it figured out, it's not easy, but
Yeah, I feel like kids would figure it out pretty easy, though.
Yeah, she didn't do too bad. Dennis said she did a good job.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right on.
Yeah,
How-
it says we're going here, we're going there, we're going here, we're
Yeah.
going out there.
Well, on the first day
there's
she did a
lot to
lap.
it.
She did a lap the first day,
yeah.
but the GPS was backwards, so everything was,
It was.
she'd be
Oh.
going
That
left
was a
and said go
mess.
right. You know what I mean? But once we got that all figured out, she did good the next day. The second lap, she pretty much had to call a race. There was so much dust that he was just
Yeah.
going. She'd say 200 feet left, 300 feet right,
Yeah.
sweeper,
They
tight corner.
send you hazards and everything. So you
Yeah,
have
we
markers.
plugged it all in. Yeah, and it was a short course. It was only a 90-minute race, but still, it was our first round and
That's
Yeah.
cool.
strapped her in center.
Yeah.
How did you feel? Like we talked about when your dad said that when you're in the car, you have a spotter and you're racing.
Yeah.
You're a one-man show, right?
Yeah.
Well, how did it feel being on the other end, being a part of a a team show?
It was different, especially going from a driver to a passenger. When you're the passenger, you have to talk a lot more.
Mm-hmm.
And when you're a driver and someone's talking to you, I don't reply back to him when
You
I'm
just
racing.
listen.
You just listen. You listen and you do it, and yeah, you don't talk back. It's not.
You don't have
So-
time.
Yeah, you don't have time to do it. So for me, it was weird to go to the passenger side because I had to just keep talking. I just had to, even if there wasn't a turn coming up, the driver was like, you just have to keep talking because that's what a passenger has to do. You have to keep your driver focused, and
Right.
it's a lot to take in. But once you get it figured out, honestly, I don't know if I like the passenger side more. You're not in control. That is weird for me because
Yeah.
I'm so used to I'm in control. So I mean, they could I would run into a corner faster or I would run into a corner slower, and it's different. But
Yeah, because you're also being judging. You can't have that judging attitude. I see what you're saying, though. You're using it from a race standpoint, but you can provide positive feedback. First of all,
Yes.
Dennis said you did a great job, but you could provide him positive feedback at the end of the race. Maybe say, "Hey, you know what? I think you were, a little, brake happy, or you drove it in harder, or things like that." And even if he didn't agree with you, he could say back to you saying, well, unfortunately, this truck doesn't drive the way that your car does,
Yeah.
so you have to do these things. And it's probably a good learning experience all around.
It was awesome. It was so much fun, and it was a lot of learning just for me personally, because I've never really been on the passenger side and actually had to do anything. Like if I've ever rode in something, I never actually had to like read a GPS or do anything. I just rode. I
Yeah.
just got to enjoy the ride. This time
And it
I
was good
actually
for
got
me
to-
because now she knows what it's like to be on the other side of the radio.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's not as easy on that side of the
No,
job.
it's
See,
not.
Jess, now you know what I deal with.
Yeah,
It's your dad telling you,
yeah,
huh?
it's a lot. Yeah.
Well, I got the opportunity to be a co-driver a couple times as well, and I had the same exact experience. I was had to learn a new thing.
Yeah.
It changes everything, but the common thing that everybody has is they're all the same goal, right? You want to win.
Yes.
You want to do good.
Yeah.
You don't give a shit about a participation trophy.
No.
Right.
And you have a team that's doing it now, and you're all part of this same equation. So back to what I said about going to get a job interview or living the dirt life and having all these things transition into your real life, into reality when you're older, it makes a big difference because you understand, well, I can do my best all the time. I'm a single person, and I'm always going to have a strong mentality, and I'm going to do my best no matter what I do. But you're going to get thrown into a workforce, and you're going to have to work with a team.
Yes.
You're going to have, let's just say you work at a flower shop. You got to have a driver. You got to have a manager. You got to have a cashier. You got to have all these things, right? And at the flower shop, you have to work as a team to get that flower bouquet from, the setup and ready to go all the way out to the person's front door. So it makes a big difference, and I think that dirt life really helps a lot of people.
Well, and at the flower shop, you might be the person putting the flower in the box.
Right.
But you may have to go in the cash register because the cash register guy ain't there today, right?
That's a good point.
So now they throw you right in there. That's kind of what we did this weekend. Like, the first day, she's like, Dad, I have no idea how to do this. Like, well, I would suggest you talk to Dennis a little bit tonight and get the paper out and start reading, figure it out. Like, you don't got a choice. We're strapping you in tomorrow. You got to go.
Yeah.
But it wasn't an issue. Like, she got it. She got in there and boom, it was done.
Yeah.
And sometimes you get thrown into stuff and that's what racing teaches you. You got to figure it out.
Yeah.
Sometimes the racing, there's a hole in the corner. Well,
Yeah.
they're not going to stop the race and fill the hole in.
Right.
No.
You either figure out how to drive through the hole or drive around the hole, one or the other.
Yep, exactly. Or even if you have a problem with your car, I watched Lake Elsinore Grand Prix was this last weekend, and I heard one of our buddies, Jason Merrill from the UTV Wolfpack, he got second place, but the car went into limp mode, and he knows how to fix that. He had to pull over, he had to turn the car off, turn it back on, and get back in the race. He lost by 23 seconds. He probably could have won the race, but he also adversely could have gotten worse if he didn't know what to do if he wasn't thrown in the fire.
Right.
So it forces you to think like that. And this happens all the time, like Brian was talking about in his business, doing plumbing stuff. You're always fighting. Always. There's always something more wrong than what's noted on the ticket, let's say. And he has to do this 20 times a day, I'm sure. 20 times an hour. Who knows how many times. But when he goes out on the track, myself, his team, they know that that's never going to be an issue because he's already figured it out, and that's what Jess is learning and Tatum is learning right now.
Yep.
It makes a big difference, and you probably learned it a lot when you were young too.
I did. My dad, instilled in us, just be real. Don't be fake.
Right.
Work hard. Learn from your mistakes was the key. And you'll always better yourself. You know what I mean?
Do you think that that's an issue nowadays because of like we talked about, social media and participation and things like that? Kids don't think it's a mistake. They don't think they're making mistakes.
Yeah.
So they don't understand how to fight forward.
No accountability.
Yeah,
Yeah,
accountability.
good word.
Yes, the accountability's not there. So, you did this, Tyler, but you really should have done this. Well, next time, there's not a consequence or there should be a consequence for an action.
Yeah. It was messed up. Don't do that again. Do it this way.
Yes, do it this way.
Yeah. That makes a lot of sense. Well, not to keep going off on that tangent, what's some of the fun things that you like doing and the hobbies that you like doing outside of racing?
Volleyball, like you mentioned, like we talked about. Social media, we already talked about that, and it's part of racing, but it's not physically racing.
Right.
It's something different, and it takes up a lot of your time, but I don't mind it. I like doing the social media. You get to interact with people and stuff.
Other than the personal side.
Other than the personal side, but I'll get over it eventually, is you gotta you have to put yourself out there to it's how social media is now. It's a lifestyle, not just about racing.
Yeah, exactly. One of the things that I learned with social media, and I actually learned this from a kid, but you can't take any value on what's fed back to you on social media. You can only take value in what you put out. So no matter how many likes you get, no matter how many comments you get, you have to be happy with putting that picture there.
Yeah.
Because it's the same thing as getting up and going to the races, going to school. You get up and you see everybody, you talk to everybody, and you're genuinely happy, right? You don't care about you care about the results and stuff,
Yeah.
but you're putting yourself out there the same way you would be. You're just doing it with a picture or video.
Yeah.
So anything that leaves, put a smile on your face.
Yeah.
Anything that comes back, whatever.
Yeah, you move on from it. It's their opinion, not your opinion.
Yeah, exactly. You know what? I do take that back a little bit then. When you talk about the opinions, if somebody gives you constructive criticism or somebody has something, let's just say it is a lose-lose, but it's something that genuinely you agree with, like let's just say you posted a picture of your racing and I commented back and I said, you know what? You weren't very fast out there today. I think you could have done better in corner number 1 or corner number 2. You could have said something like, he's a jerk, or you could have said something like, maybe he's right. Maybe I should have listened. Maybe I should have gone faster in that corner. You go to your parents and you say, hey, Dad, was I slow in corner number 4 or corner number 1 today? He can give you his opinion, and then you can take it and then you can do with it as you want. But if you genuinely feel like that person didn't say something that was right in your opinion, it doesn't matter, right?
I had that same scenario just happen between me and you. We're coming back from the pits, and he tells me knowledge, and I sucked it up, and I was like, thank you, after we left our conversation. He told me, he was like, have Tatum during qualify, don't follow her, don't follow Jennifer. Let him gap her more so he's more concentrated on his lines versus just following her.
Right.
Because they were both so fast, right? But he was more concentrated on following her versus getting a big gap where he could just concentrate on his lines.
But you can use that as a positive outlook too, because you can say, in life you don't ever follow, you want to lead.
Yeah.
So don't look at what these other people are doing on social media.
Mm-hmm.
Do your own thing. Put out there what you want to do.
Run your own line.
It was
Yeah.
positive. I appreciated that. Thank you.
Yeah, you bet.
Yeah, run your own line. Everybody says stay in your own lane, right? I don't care about staying in my own lane. I want to do my own. Like, I'm not going to stay there. I'm going to go and make my own lane, do whatever I want, right? And then whatever I'm comfortable putting out there is what I want to do. Like, that's it. And I think the kids should definitely be a part of that. And I think the Instagram taking away likes and stuff, I think that'll help immensely for that type of feedback and what they're putting out there. And I think it's fantastic that you do that. I think it's really, really good that you have that mindset and mentality. Do you have negative stuff that you don't like about social media?
Not really. I mean, it's try and keep the positive in it, not pick out the negative. But I mean,
Where did you learn that? Did your mom and dad teach you that? Keep the positive going?
yeah, you just kind of
Glass is always half full.
yeah.
Well, it's
you
back
just
same
kinda-
thing. Good race or bad race, still got the race, right?
Yeah.
Right?
Good. What are those bumper stickers? A good day fishing is better than a bad day at work, or whatever,
exactly.
or vice versa. Yeah, bad day of fishing is better than a good day at work. Well, tell us what your favorite part about racing actually is. I think you kind of brushed on it before, but
actually, like being in the car and driving would be my favorite part because you're by yourself. I mean, you have someone talking to you, but you have to learn to make your own decisions and stuff. And like the adrenaline run that you get with
the
it.
adrenaline rush.
I can't say it, but it's crazy. Just like until you actually drive and race, you don't understand it.
Yeah,
It's-
to get that to the same type of feeling.
Yeah.
And a lot of people get those same types of feelings too. Like I've heard in big Fortune 500 company meetings and stuff that I go to, guys will go in there with their tuxedo and they'll be all dressed up, ready, just like you're in a race suit, and they'll go in and sit at that conference room table. And once their name gets called, it's like they turn into Popeye. They're ready. Their adrenaline is going, and they're ready to go. Like, that's their racing. Like, they get in there, and they're just so pumped up and ready to go. So you can feel it in other things, but I think it's pretty, like, a person like you or myself or Tatum or Brian or even your dad, we like going fast, and we like feeling that motion and the hand-eye coordination and all that stuff. It makes a big difference.
Yeah, but like you said, the business guys.
Go fast and pass people. It's just
Put the microphone next to Tatum's mouth.
it's cool that you get to go and you get to have fun by going fast. It's not always about winning, it's about having fun. But you still get to have fun and go fast, but you have a chance of winning.
Yeah.
You get to have fun and go and try your best.
Exactly. That's a very, very good way to say it, because you are having fun and you're having those adrenaline rushes, but you have accountability too, because you don't want to lose.
No,
you want to win, right?
You
Yeah.
want to win. That's the
Well, we get
ultimate goal.
adrenaline rushes. Like I'm sure Brian gets one every time he lines up, right? I mean, first lap for turn one it's an adrenaline rush,
Oh,
and you're not
game
even
on.
in the car,
Yeah.
right? It's like, is this going to work or not?
You don't see me pacing?
Yeah, exactly. And I think that has a lot of validity actually in the real world. Like everybody wants to be a race car driver. We all want to be Lewis Hamilton, right? We all want to make millions of dollars, and we all want to be an F1 driver. But the reality is that's not going to happen for everybody. It's a few and far between. But we all do have normal jobs, and there's a chance that Jess will, and there's a chance that Tatum will have to have a normal job. And those adrenaline rushes and those ways to control your body and to control your mind during high intense situations like that go really, really far when you go to different meetings, or you have to talk to people, or you're in a situation where even if you're at Costco and somebody cuts you off in line, you don't necessarily get mad because you're a calmer person, because you know it doesn't, like, this is not like racing. I don't care about who's this
bigger
guy
things,
yelling and
yeah.
screaming. Yeah, there's bigger and better things out there, right?
Clearly didn't line up right.
Yeah, exactly. This guy would never be able to race a car. Talk in the microphone, Tatum.
If we're sitting out in the pit and staging and they won't let us go for sitting there for an hour, just go for it.
And you're ready to rip.
Yeah.
Talk to 'em. Go get ready.
Yeah, exactly. Who's some of the people that you look up to, Jess?
I look up a lot to Lindsay Geyser, Shelby Anderson, and Sarah Price. 'Cause
What are the reasons that you look up to them?
they've all kind of pursued the whole marketing and social media life. Like, they all play a big part in that. But then they also get to race on the side. If you look at all of them, they all get deals. Like, Sarah Price got an RPM deal. Shelby's got a Polaris deal. And then Lindsay, I know her dad owns the business and everything, but she still gets rides with other people. She still gets
Right.
to ride and drive. You see all of them, and that's kind of what I want to do. I want to be able to have a job in the racing life, but then also be able to race and get rides and be a name that's known with
Right.
a lot of different things. Not, well, yeah, she can only drive, she can't really do this, or she can only do this, but she can't. I kind of want to be well-rounded, and that's what all those girls have. They're all well-rounded with a lot of things.
Yeah, that brings up a good point, though, too. And you really have to be a jack of all trades nowadays. You know, like, let's just say in 1990 or 2000, before you were even born, you really you could focus more on just one thing and have success at it. But nowadays, you have to be a jack of all trades. You know, I heard the other day somebody was talking to me about their business, and they're involved in motorsports, and they lost a whole division of their of their company. And what he told me was, he goes, dude, I have no idea how we're doing this, because they have to take on so much more work, and they have to be a jack of all trades for all departments and all kinds of different products and stuff. And he learned that by the same mentality that you're growing up with. So it's pretty cool, and he was able to do it. Do you understand the amount of work that those girls have put in? Like, do you see what they have to do to get to that point?
I've seen it a lot because, I mean, I've followed them for a couple years now, and you look, I mean, Shelby didn't work at Polaris.
Right.
When I kind of first started racing and first started realizing that she was on Linda this, then you watch, and she got accepted in the Polaris, and she got this job and stuff, and she, like, made it big time. I mean, she was big before, but it helped her a lot along the way, and I understand now that, like, you have to really work for it, because, you see, before the fact, they had to promote themselves. You had to be fast. All this stuff goes into it. It's not just handed to you.
Well, like you said, there's not a guarantee you're going to make it in racing.
Right.
Not everybody's going to get $1 million a race every year, right?
Yep.
So you got to have plan B, right?
Right.
Or make that plan A, make racing plan B. And that's what we're working on with her. She loves to race, so I suggested, why don't you build your career around the racing industry?
Yep.
You know, like sports entertainment and all that kind of stuff. And Shelby's helped a little bit. Like, I've talked to her a couple times. She's gave us some advice, but working forward on that kind of stuff.
That is really cool. And you know what you should do is you should reach out to those people. All of those girls are very, very approachable, and they're very, very good people. And they like talking to people, especially like you, who strive for more and who's a woman in the off-road industry. They'll love talking to you, and you could ask them specific questions and say, how did you get to this point? What did you do? And they'll be able to tell you. And I guarantee you, 90% of those answers are going to be hard work.
Yeah, I see it now. It's just how they act and everything that.
Well, like we talked about, on social media is not everything. You got to get behind the scenes, because that's where the real meat is.
Yeah, and next year she's 8th grade this year, graduating. And we're going to do homeschooled.
Cool.
Because she wants to concentrate more on her program. So that gives us more free time. Because you can fit homeschooling in the evenings or wherever to fit in your racing program.
Yep.
Or if she's got to go do shows or interviews or whatever she needs to do, she's free to do it. We're not bound up by school. And
Well, free to do it if the responsibilities are done, I'm sure.
Oh, correct. Yeah. But that's her job. So
yeah.
And we're pretty good on that part. We have it done.
Well, to-do list.
Yeah.
Yeah, she got a checklist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I already figured out that if I need a producer or some sort of assistant, that you're going to be hired for the show.
Oh, thanks.
So I do think that's really cool. I think that, nowadays, like, we're talking about social media and the negatives and the positives and things like that. But one of the things that we haven't talked about is how much marketing and social media does actually affect and give people opportunity like that. Producing videos and doing all this content generation, it's very, very valuable for marketing and very, very valuable for companies to be able to get out there. And even if you have 50 people on your social media following, that's 50 people that company A or B didn't have before.
Correct.
And 50 people, if you make 50 sales, I guarantee they're going to be proud. And one of the things that I always like to tell people is I never ever thought that I was going to be the fastest off-road racer. I always had ambition of being the fastest dirt bike rider because I was able-bodied and I was really good at it. But when I got into off-road, I knew I was always going to be at a deficit. No matter how much I did to the car, my legs still couldn't go the way everybody else's could. They're still not fast enough to manage the pedals the same way. So I could be half a second off, a quarter of a second off, whatever it was. In my mind, I knew, dude, if my legs work, I would smoke these fools because I'm already doing as good as them without that.
Yeah.
But I knew that I wasn't ever going to reach the same level at these guys as the UTVs progressed, because there's always going to be new people and there's always going to be faster people. So I'm always going to be at a deficit. So I thought to myself, what can I do to make it so that my sponsors are proud of me? And what I did was I decided to do the social media stuff a little bit better. And it's not like I have 1 million followers or anything, but everybody that I talk to knows that I'm serious. They know that I'm willing to help them. They know that I'm willing to do things. And when I got my Yamaha sponsorship was because I put in a year of work for free with Yamaha. I went to events. I helped them with anything that they needed. I promoted them. I put the car, I made it look like the way that they wanted with their new releases of their cars. I made it every single step that I could have a value towards them. And when we had a discussion for sponsorship, it wasn't because I was winning all the races. It wasn't because I won a championship. It was because I shifted the market from Southern California to be the best-selling market in Southern Arizona for the Yamaha YXZ. And that's where my value was for them. So it was almost like I said before, like going to a job interview and talking to these guys. They didn't ask me one question about racing except for what I needed for the program. They wanted to know what we could do to work together for the year, just like what Shelby's doing now for Polaris. So it's very, very interesting that you say that's what you want to do, because I think, like your dad said, you can do both.
Yeah, you can.
You can still have that fun adrenaline rush. Maybe it's not every weekend. Maybe it's 4 races a year or whatever it is, but you still get to live that whole dream.
You're still around it all the time.
Yeah.
You're with the people that are in it. You're around it, maybe not every weekend, but
yeah, exactly. Maybe you're not serving sandwiches or something. Maybe you're doing something that you really like. Yeah. So you're having a good time doing the things that you love. I think that's a fantastic way to look at it, and I think that it's really cool to have those goals. So I'm proud of you.
Thank you.
You have a really good head on your shoulders. And I'm proud of you too, Jimmy, for bringing up such an awesome kid.
Thank you.
And we have another
I have another one
girl
coming
over
up.
there.
It won't be long. This one's coming.
Yeah. So she's got her little racing feet too, right?
Yeah, she does. Yep, she runs a 170. Going to do a 570 program next year and be ready to go.
That's awesome. Well, I think we should move over to Tatum and ask him some questions. What do you think? Well, actually, you know what? Let's ask you a few more questions, because I always like to end the show with asking 2 questions. What does the future hold for you? And I think we kind of got a little bit of that, but tell us about maybe some of your immediate goals in the next year or 2.
Some of my goals for next year, I want to run Works and to hopefully be really competitive in that series. Run some Best of Desert stuff if we can. Co-ride a little bit more, and then expand my social media more, and hopefully be able to get a little bit more time invested in that once I'm homeschooled. So.
Has anybody ever told you about like the to-do list? I know you like doing those, but one thing that I've learned, and I know that even if you ask any president of the United States, if you have those goals and you write them down, like let's just say I want to have 5,000 social media followers by the end of 2020. If you write it down, there's a 98% chance of it happening. If you don't write it down, it's a 2% chance. And the reason is because when you write it down, it's something that's always going to be on the front of your mind. So as stupid as it sounds, take a piece of paper and write them all down. Even if you lose that piece of paper, you still wrote it down. But save that piece of paper, put it in your nightstand or something.
So you can make a goal list instead of a checklist.
Yeah.
Same thing.
We
Yeah.
we did that this year with the.
But do the exercise with a pencil or a pen and paper, and do that, because any successful person will tell you the way that they reach their goals is by writing it down. You know, I do a lot of it on my cell phone, but it's something that's very serious for me. I'll write it on a piece of paper, just because when you're putting it on paper, whatever reason about the human body and the human traits, it works.
There you go.
Yeah.
Well, we wrote our list on the way up here. That's what we did today on the way here. We did a sponsor list, people to talk to, people to see, what we needed to do for certain people, what we're going to offer them, what we can give them for value.
See, Jess, when does it stop, man?
Yeah, it doesn't.
That's good. I'm proud of you. That's a really good way to look at it. And those are the ways that you succeed. Just putting in the work, just like Shelby did, just like Sarah did. All those girls, they're all putting in the work. And you know what's funny is we talked to Danielle Gardner, and she works for Sarah Price. And she said the same thing. She just puts in the work. Sarah is never, it's like she doesn't sleep. She just keeps putting in work. And she's doing a very good job of what she did. I want to have her on the show one of these days. So maybe when you have her on the show, you could come hang out too.
Yeah.
That'd be pretty fun. Okay, well, the last question we have for you is, what do you want to be remembered for? I know it's a little precursor because you're not old like all of us guys, but what do you want to be remembered for?
Personally, I think I'd want to remember it as being like a fast driver that wins a lot of championships and is like a fast girl racer, because there isn't a lot of them out there. I mean, there definitely is some of them out there, and they're really fast, but I kind of want to be known that, like, when I showed up to a race, like, everyone not got nervous, but like, oh, she's here now, like competition stuff now. That's really what that's one of my goals. Like, I want to be known, like, that I was fast, and I made a statement when I showed up. You
want people to look at you, like, just like if we were to walk up to the President of the United States, be like, that's the president right there.
Yes.
Yeah. So, well, that's good. All right. You did awesome.
Thank you.
I can't wait to see what the future holds for you. You ready, Tatum?
Yeah.
So, how old are you, bud?
I'm 8.
You're 8 years old, huh? That's pretty young to be driving a Razor 170, bud.
I started at 6. That's the age that you can start at.
How did you feel at 6 driving the Razor 170?
It was different than driving my go-kart around the house, like my little 50. My little 50, it's way different than driving my 4-stroke motored go-kart around the house. It's in a bigger experience. Like, it's a bigger car that's faster. It can go 40.
Will you put the microphone a little closer to your mouth, please?
It goes in its 40 miles an hour. It does about 45 miles an hour. It's a really fast car. It's just different from everything I started with.
What if I told you that even when I drive on the street, 45 miles an hour seems fast for me? 45 miles an hour is pretty cooking, bud.
But even when I'm just driving in my car, I think, wow, this is as fast as my race car goes. It doesn't feel like it, though.
It doesn't when you're on track, huh? Like
when you're on a racetrack, it feels a lot faster than it does in in a car on the street. But it's the same speed, but it feels different. Because you're not belted in with the fire suit. You're just relaxed sitting in a car.
It's different, too, like when you think of different sports, too. Before I continue my thing, Caden Danbury said, now I'm writing a list, George.
I know, I saw it, too.
So that's good. Go get him, Caden. So one thing that I have to say about that speed that you were talking about is racing dirt bikes is a lot different, right? So you're moving fast and you have to make these changes. When you're out on the racetrack, like a short course track, it doesn't feel like you're going that fast. Like you could be going 45 and it feels like you're going 10. Like it feels like you're going slow, right? But when you're looking from the outside, it looks like you're cooking pretty good. And one of the first things that I realized when I started racing short course, the production 1000s are pretty fast. They're not quite as fast as your dad's or the big trucks. But I felt like I could eat a sandwich going down the straightaways because my brain in dirt bikes was going so fast compared to, I was like, ugh, I have to just sit here and wait till I get to the next corner. Like,
Tear off.
Yeah, it's like in slow motion, everything. So I think those are the same things that you're experiencing when you're out on track compared to what you experience driving down the road with your mom or dad. Like, it's like, oh, we're going like this. I could go this fast in my race car, but when you're on the course, it feels like you go faster, right?
Yes, it
Yeah.
does.
It's a big difference, right, when you're out there. Man, can you imagine driving a Pro 4? Holy crap.
I wanted to go in the Steal It car.
The Steal It car is Pulvardi?
Yeah. Paverdi.
Yeah. He's got a sweet setup, man.
Yeah.
What are some of the things that you like doing, bud, other than racing?
Well, I like doing soccer. I like kicking balls. I started at school. We have this giant fence at our school, and so we grabbed a soccer ball and we just kicked it over the fence. That's how we all started. All my friends came and joined. They tried blocking it from hitting the fence, and we try to get as high as we can. We show off and try to get as high as we can. But
Soccer goals?
yeah. So I got into competitive soccer after I played rec. But other than soccer, I'm around the house. I'm not just sitting in the front of the TV watching YouTube or playing video games. I'm outside of the house actually working. I'm actually working around the house. I'm working on the cars. I'm cleaning up around the house.
Dad and Mom make you do chores, too?
No, I don't have chores. I just do it.
He does it.
Really?
This dude's a little worker, man. He sees a pile of leaves, he just grabs a broom or a rake and just puts it in a pile. Or he's always doing something.
I got lots of stuff to do around here. You can come over and you can hang out.
He got some
I'll feed you
weeds.
tacos and stuff. Or if you don't like tacos, you like cheese crisps and stuff, huh?
Yeah.
There you go. I'll give you a bunch of cheese crisps. I got a lot of work I got to do around here, so you can help out, okay?
Yeah, he's a busybody.
Well, that's cool, man. And do you like soccer or any of those sports better than racing, or you like the same thing that Jess said, like the adrenaline rush and that kind of stuff?
Well, it's kind of hard because soccer is a fun sport, but I also played baseball for 2 years, so I feel like racing is like I like racing more than those sports because like I don't stay in town for soccer. I have to go out of town and skip soccer to go to a racing. So I feel like racing is more important than soccer.
Yeah, that's a good perspective. Yeah, because it's bigger of an event, I guess you could say.
Yeah, it's busier, way busier, and it's like it's kind of like it's a fun sport. It's fun. You get to be with your friends, go fast, pass people. It's just a really fun sport. Getting to go and drive fast.
You know what I noticed a lot about the guys in your Razor 170 class, and Jimmy and Brian, and, well, even you, Jess, can attest to this, is there's a lot of competitiveness, but most of the competitiveness comes from the parents and wanting to win and stuff like that. But every time I've talked to a kid or I've seen a kid on the track, they come off the track with a smile on their face no matter what happens. And they're so excited that they got to get out there and do it. And one of the first Razor 170 races that I watched was, I think it was in my second or third year of racing. And I thought it was fantastic because it changed my whole outlook on it. Like, because I always wanted to win. I came from dirt bikes. Like, I was like, I could beat these dudes. Like, I'm serious. Like, I want to go. But when I saw that race, I was like, man, I really need to put this in perspective. I just need to have a smile on my face when I get off the track. Like, I shouldn't care as much about the value of being first. I should care more about the value of being out there, just like they do. Because that's what makes it important, is to understand that you get to do this and not have to go to work, or get to do this because you are working so hard, and understand the value of being out there having fun
And
instead
the
of
courage. I've said it 100 times. get on a quad and follow these kids behind them on a 170. When they're doing 40 miles an hour, you're in third gear on your quad, and the kid's just taking the corner at 40.
Yeah.
You're like, what the? Like, the courage is so, Wild Horse. Big jump, right?
Yep.
Like, can't see anything. All they see is sky, but they just send it, never
You just got to go for it.
Yeah.
There you go, right
neat,
there.
yeah.
So what got you into racing? Was it your dad?
Yeah, my dad used to race in a trophy truck. He was the passenger in the trophy truck. And so he said, oh, Tatum, I'm going to get you this car to start racing when I was about first grade. He said, I'm going to get you into racing. And so that's when it all started. I drove the little car through the gate. I got into racing, and I love it. It's a fun sport.
Who do you look up to in racing? Like, who do you want to be when you grow up?
I want to be like Ricky Bobby.
You want to put a Fig Newton sticker on your windshield?
I want to race NASCAR.
Well, that's cool. Don't be like Ricky Bobby. Be like somebody a little bit better than him, okay?
I'm gonna be myself. I want to drive NASCAR.
Perfect. Well, you can have your same sticker kit when you get up to the NASCARs. That'll be cool, man. Well, that's a good goal to have. I think that's really awesome. So you kind of already answered one of my last questions. But one of the things that I really like to understand is, do you understand the amount of effort that your dad and mom and your family and your grandpa and your brother and everybody has to put in when you go out on course and when you get to the races?
Actually, yes, because, like when I go out there, I hear that, oh, my Aunt Stacy's coming, my grandparents are coming, my brother Devin from all the way from California is coming and driving 6 hours just to come for me. It's supportive. It's very supportive, and I appreciate it.
That's really cool, man. Well, I'm glad that you realize that, and I know Jess does too, because she sees it as well. That's one of the things that I think is really good about, what your dad and what Jimmy's doing with everybody is they're making you guys understand the value of actually being out there. Because even me, like I said, I've already a bunch of times, I'm an old dude, and when I got into it, I didn't get it until I saw how much you guys appreciated it, and that comes from these guys. And I understood that after that, and it was really cool. It was really cool because it makes you humble, and it makes you understand how much it takes to get a little tiny Razor 170 out there for you to rip around and go 45 miles an hour.
It's discipline, too.
We wouldn't have all the 170s if it wasn't for Jimmy, because he builds all of them. He's working and working, just building our 170s for us.
Yeah.
He built a lot of them.
Yeah, he does. He definitely does. What is the best part about racing?
I like about racing that you just, like I said, you get to go fast, pass people, and just have fun. You get to have fun.
Well, you're passing people now. You used to follow them.
I used to be in last.
You're doing good, bud. You're definitely doing good. I got to spot for you for a couple races, and the amount of speed that you hold now compared to what the first time I was or saw you out there is like night and day difference. So keep on that good track.
And I appreciate that for coming out to my last race in Wild Horse, driving out here.
Well, no problem, man. I appreciate you letting me do it. That was cool. Do you help your dad work on the race cars?
Yes, I do. I'm always in the garage. I watch TV for a little bit. I'm like, that's it. I'm gonna go outside. So I walk outside and I said, Dad, can I help? And he's always working on the clutch or something. And I'm like, Dad, I want to help. Please, please, please.
What kind of stuff have you learned then?
I start moving, I'm moving the stuff around. But he taught me how, he builds these tools, and he built this tool, and he's teaching me how to put the clutch together, and he just teaches me how to put the transmission and all that back together.
So do you know like righty tighty, lefty loosey, and all that?
Yeah, he built this. He built this tool that it kind of looks like a wrench, and it holds down the thing, so you don't have to push down really hard. So it holds it down, and then you just screw it back on. And you just screw it on, so it's so easy.
That's pretty cool, man. So you learn how to do the clutches. Well, next time I get a car that's a CVT, you can teach me because I still don't know how to do it. I thought I did, but I was sucky. Jason said, shake and bake, bud. That's cool that you work on your own race cars, though, man. And I've seen you out there, man. You're barely ever inside the house, so that's cool that you're always outside doing stuff. And you're not. I know you like video games, but you're not hooked to them. So
no.
Well, like we asked Jess, she does the checklist and stuff, but how do you handle? Does Mom help out with handling all your schedule and all that stuff, or how do you handle it?
I don't normally help with that. I'm normally outside working on the race cars, like I said. She normally goes to the store, gets us gets it all done, and gets all the snacks and stuff. And then she asked me to come in. I pack with her. I help her pack. She has to, because I have to help her pack. Like, she doesn't know what I want to wear, so I have to go in there, help her pack, and then we go, and she gets our errands done. But I'm like,
She gets your baklavas ready.
She gets my
She
baklavas.
gets your suit ready.
We
she
have
gets
to-
your
we have to-
shoes.
she folds all my
She's a very
clothes.
big part of it. Yeah.
But you still know how to do it, though, right? Like when you get older, you can do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like, also, I'm not really attached to video games, because I said my dad was in the house, like, eating lunch or something, and I walk in and I say, "Hey, Dad, are you going to use those bricks sitting in the backyard?" Because we had these bricks sitting in our backyard. And I say, "Are you going to use those?" And he said, "Yeah." And I said, "Oh," because I was going to use them to build this little area for all my lizards and stuff that I go and catch. Because I like to catch wildlife. It's a part of life. I have a baby lizard at home right now. So
That's cool.
And he said, "Oh yeah, actually you can just use them." So I go out there and I build this this wall, and I have a bunch of I was actually working on it earlier today. I finished the wall and all that, but I'm adding like cages. I have a little baby lizard sitting out there right now in one of the tubs. I'm trying to get my
Hope it doesn't get eaten.
It's in a tub. It's in a tub with a lid.
Dude, you're a go-getter, man. You got all kinds of stuff going on.
I just like when I was about 2, we had all our entire backyard area was all dirt, and so my dad had the pool, but it was a bunch of dirt with our concrete. And my dad said, "You should have like a big play area over here." So he got this fence around him and his workers, put concrete down. They built a giant play set for me and my little brother to play around on. Of course, I don't play on that anymore.
Of course you don't.
I'm outside.
Too old for that.
I'm working around out. I'm outside working around the house, just always out around.
Yeah, and I know that you ride bicycles a lot, which is a good trait to have because it keeps you in shape and it keeps you motivated, and also it's fun, right?
Yeah, yesterday I found a big board in my back alley, and I say, "Hey, my dad uses that block in his there's a block in my dad's garage. I can make a jump." So yesterday, me and my little brother were just hitting the jump on our bikes and having fun.
Yeah.
We're always
That's
outside.
exactly what we grew up doing, too.
Brings like a 3x6 piece of wood. He drags it from the alley all the way over.
That's
and then
awesome.
He's just hitting the jump over and over again. It was cool.
Well, good job, Tatum. I got one question last to ask both of you guys, but I'm going to save it for last. So what's some of the stuff that you have for in the future? Like, what are your goals?
Like I said, I wanted to drive NASCARs. I want to grow older and move up to the higher classes, and then like go to the trophy truck, and then move into NASCAR. And
that's a pretty big difference.
My goal is to support my family and everything. I just want to
With racing?
Yes.
That's a good goal. I think
It'd
that's
be
a great
awesome
goal.
If he went to NASCAR supported me.
Put the
That
mic a
would
little
be-
closer. Yeah, that would be really cool, man. If you
really
made it up to NASCAR. So, has anybody ever told you the statement "Eat the elephant one bite at a time"?
What's that mean?
So it means that
It's
if you want to go to
big bite.
NASCAR, you have this big elephant, right? Do you think you could eat an elephant in
No.
one meal?
No.
So your goal is to eat the whole elephant. You just got to eat it one little bite at a time, right?
Yeah.
And clearly you don't want to eat an elephant. But the metaphor is that to get to NASCAR, you have to take baby steps. You have to win a Razor 170 championship. You have to get social media, and you have to get noticed by sponsors. You have to start presenting yourself as a professional person. You have to learn how to work on your own car. You have to know how to communicate with your mechanic and be able to tell them what to do. And all of those little tiny things are each one little bite until you get to be, let's just say 18 or 20 years old, when you're going up to the NASCAR ranks and you're saying, okay, now I've almost eaten the whole elephant. Now I got to start, eating the rest of it, but I'm all the way up this NASCAR level. So that's one thing that I've learned is you always have to eat the elephant one bite at a time. And it pays off to know that thing, because when you get hurt or when you have to go to a job or something happens, you have to understand you have to eat the elephant one bite at a time, no matter what it is. In life, you always have to do it.
Baby steps.
Yep, exactly. And that's what your dad does every day, right? He shows up and he has no idea how big this elephant's going to be until he researches how much it's going to take. And then he goes through the process and he gets finished eating it by the time he's done.
Another goal in my life is not only to drive NASCARs, but I want to also be a plumber like my dad.
Oh, well, that's cool. I don't know if you're gonna have time to do all this, but it seems like you're gonna have a pretty busy schedule there, buddy. What do you want to be remembered for?
I want to be remembered for kindness.
Kindness.
Just being kind to all my friends.
I think that's a really good
Yeah,
trait.
dude.
Yeah, pound it. Yeah, that's a really good trait. Well, the last question I think that I want to ask you guys, I have a couple more questions for your dads, but who are some of the people that you'd like to thank? Let's ask Tatum first, and then you can end, okay?
I want to thank my Aunt Stacy and her daughter, Gianna. I want to thank my cousins, Bailey, JJ, Tony, Jason. I want to thank my mom, my dad. I want to thank my grandparents, my grandma, my grandpa. I want to thank Cody. I want to thank you. I want to thank everyone who just comes out and supports me. George Lamoses, everyone.
Yeah, and all your friends, obviously. It's cool that you see all that stuff. And one of the things that I want to be remembered for is kind of the same as you. Like, I want to be remembered for being able to have people think I was a humble person and I was good at giving back, right? So I try to do as good as you just did and remembering all the people that I should be thankful for, because I have a real bad problem with that. I've hit my head a couple times. So sometimes I don't thank everybody, but I think you did a fantastic job, dude. So good job.
I want to also thank my papa and my my uncle.
What about your brother today, too?
My older brother, yes, that too.
Yeah, Devin's pretty awesome, isn't he?
Yep.
Okay. Well, good job, Tatum. I think you did awesome today, dude.
Good job,
Thank
dude.
you very much, bud. Can you give that microphone to Jimmy? Cool. All right. So who do you want to thank?
I want to thank my mom and my dad. They make this all possible. I want to thank you for inviting us to come down.
You don't have to give us a sponsor. Just genuinely think of who you want to thank.
My sister for supporting me, friends, all my sponsors. They were a huge
You want your
help.
sister to thank you for supporting her too, right?
That's a daily struggle.
Yeah, exactly. Well, who are some of your sponsors, actually?
Extreme Machine Fabrication, Walker Evans Racing.
I think I know that dude.
Yeah, right? I think I do too. Demon Power Sports, K1 Race Gear, Mears Mechanical, IV Trucking, and Ames Data, Dino Jet Performance, and yeah, that's all of them.
We had another a girl in here, and she had like the same list of sponsors that you have, and like every time I hear that, I'm like, God, I'm doing such a crappy job. Like, I don't have anywhere near that many sponsors. Like, I got to step up my game. Huh? I don't have any sponsors. You're going to get them, though.
Takes time.
Yeah. You're still young, bud. You got to work hard. Eat the elephant one bite at a time. That's cool. That's really cool. And with all those people that you have to thank, do you feel a responsibility to pay them back too?
Yes, yeah, for sure.
Actually, this brings up a good question, and you can answer it before your dad does. But like I did when I knew that I wasn't going to always win races, what are some of the things that you have planned with social media and marketing to be able to put yourself ahead of the other racers?
To stay on top of posting, stay on top of stories, comment on stuff like get your name out there more.
Yeah.
Like, not competition-wise, but just kind of, you have to always be ahead of the game. You have to always keep pushing forward and pushing forward and pushing forward, because eventually it'll end up paying out in the long run.
Do you think about the stuff like you don't want to always be the same as everybody else? You want to blaze your own path
I
and kind of do things differently?
Yeah, I want to be my own person, do things my own way. And
Yeah,
stuff.
come up with your own ideas and
Yeah.
things like that. I think that's fantastic. One of the things that I would suggest is making sure that you're not just putting it out there all the time, but doing it better than the people that you're around.
Yeah.
So pay close attention. It's not like one of those things where I'm not going to follow them because they're a competitive racer. Follow them. Take note.
Yeah.
Make sure that
Learn
you're
from
doing
them.
it better than them, and really focus on the way that you want to pursue those things in your careers. I know that your dad is teaching you a lot of that stuff.
Yeah. Funny story, we're on the way up here tonight, and we're laying out our sponsorship list, right? And doing a budget, right? What we think it's worth per sponsor. And I won't say the dollar figure, but I shot a number out. I said, hey, if you had a sponsor that gave you this much money, would you wear a hot dog suit at every racetrack?
Yeah.
And she said, yes. I said, well, Dad spends that every year. Looks like we're wearing a hot dog suit next year.
Yeah. But that does bring up a good point, though, that because it makes you think differently, right? Yeah. And I filled the gap, and that's why I got a Yamaha sponsorship, because I thought differently. I said, okay, well, side-by-sides are growing. Yamaha needs somebody to grow that. Why can't I just be that dude? Because all these other dudes are just going to go try to win. They're not going to do the same thing as what I want to do. So it helped, and it worked out. And that's a lot of the things that I think are more valuable these days, is because when you provide a monetary value, and monetary means money, to these people and show them the reporting like you would on social media and things like that, you have a lot of value to them. If a wheel and tire sponsor knows that you talked about them 100 times in a weekend, they're going to know that maybe one of those is going to equate to a sale. And so maybe they made a couple $1,000s. That means that if they made a couple $1,000s, why can't, and you do it every weekend that you're at the races, turns into $20,000 a year. Maybe they could give you $2,000 back at the end of the year for next year.
One of the things that I was going to comment on is, even if it's a negative, we broke this weekend, or we whatever the scenario is, leave with that positive.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Sponsors don't really
always
care.
lead with the positive. Yeah.
Yep.
Most of them don't. I mean, it's good days or bad days, you still got to report it.
Yep.
Not everybody wants to hear about the good day. They're going to get burned out after a while. You got to give them the tier days too, because you have them. It happens,
Yeah.
Today
But you can give them a tier days, like you said, with the positive, though. You can say, hey, you know what? Our car's toast. I got last. But you know what? We had the biggest pit party. We all served hamburgers, and there was 30 people over there sitting in the Yamaha, and I have 100 pictures of it.
Exactly.
And that's what the value comes from.
Right.
And that's perfect that she wants to do all that stuff. So I think it's fantastic. Well, I asked the kids already, what are the goals that you have for her?
More or less just the life goals, right? Getting her into her own career as a young adult so she can make her own decisions and move forward in life. It is a tough world out there. Competition's heavy, right? But figuring out what you want to do. Find something you enjoy to do. I mean, I'm very fortunate with what I do for a living.
Yeah, you love getting your hands dirty.
I mean, look, 70% of my program is working with kids, right?
Yeah.
I tell everybody, I don't necessarily have to love the kid to love the parent, right?
Right.
All the kids are bitching. I've met one kid at the racetrack I don't like.
Yeah, exactly.
They're all cool, right? It's just nothing better. They're always happy.
Yeah.
Like they come in from a race, good or bad. Like when we do our data reading with them, like the little ones, you get them for about 2-3 minutes. They want to ride their bicycles, go play pud pies. They could care less.
And that's exactly the point that I was bringing up earlier. That's what changed my attitude when I first got out there, was understanding that.
Right.
Because I didn't understand that when I got there. I was the motocross guy that had to win,
Right.
And that just, it's so cool to see that.
Yeah, they'll all wadded up in the corner. The parents are up there fighting and arguing about it, and the kids are riding bicycles. They could care less.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Yeah.
That's really cool. What about you, Brian? What do you have for goals for Tatum? Well, and you could say with the rider too if you want.
Yeah, I mean, just their goals is to, to work for something, accomplish something, the discipline that this brings, and just like any other sport, you know what I mean? It takes work and dedication, and I feel like Tatum's a good fit for what we're doing because he's so high energy, and, he's just like me and his mom. I just want him to be the best that he can be, but I want him to be happy. So if he's ever not happy doing what he's doing, then it's time for change.
Yeah, switch.
Yeah, it's time for change. Whether it be he's super happy about soccer in 5 years, well, then we're going to switch our game plan towards soccer. But the energy, the excitement, the look on his face, the sparkle in his eye when he does good, like, this kid wants it. Like, he's just got to go get it.
Yeah. Can you give him the microphone?
But even after my very first race, I rolled my very first race. I cartwheeled the car. I come back and I get out of the car with a smile on my face and I say, "Hey, Dad, can I have a snow cone now?" And he's like, "A snow cone? What about your roll?"
That is pretty funny. Well, I think that's a perfect way to call it a night and end the show. Is that dirt life is everything that we just talked about tonight. And the last things that you guys said was to make sure that the kids are good, to make sure that they have their plans in order, to make sure that they have goals, and whatever path they take is going to be not just set up, but it's going to be focused and it's going to be successful because of the things that they're learning now at a young age. And I think that's fantastic because we all grew up the same way. And we all have, whether we call it success or not, we all have happiness. And we're good with the things that we're doing now in life. And not very many people can say that. And we all grew up in the dirt, simple, and now we got all this good stuff happening. And times are different, but we all have that same dirt life mentality. So thank you guys very much for coming in. I really appreciate it.
Thanks,
You guys did a great job. High five. Tatum, give me a high five, bud. Good job.
Good job.
All right, guys. Well, thank you very, very much for listening. Thank you very much for tuning in. We want to thank all of our sponsors one last time: Fuel Wheels, Rigid Industries, Solder Weld, Shock Therapy, and Zollinger Racing Products. Everybody really, really awesome tonight. I love talking with the kids. It gets me a little bit choked up, but it's amazing to see what the future holds for racing and for these children. Thank you guys very much. We love you. Good night.
Good night.
You've been listening to the Dirt Life Show with George Hamill and Cody Sanders.